Hello, everybody. Today's first review is going to be of Borderlands. Now, I know this movie gets quite a bit of hate, and probably because the original rating was R, I do believe, and then they just kind of, I think they had it down to like PG-13, and then eventually the final release was PG, and you can just see that it was like the parts that were there that were meant to be rated R, like you can just see the potential there for it to be just so much of a better movie. I mean, it still was like a fun action movie, just like on its own. Now I know it doesn't really follow a lot of the. I guess a lot of people said it doesn't follow the Borderlands lore, but I've looked up like the timeline and stuff as to where these characters are supposed to be, and it seems like they at least somewhat follow the proper age of the characters as opposed to potentially their age would be in that timeline. I guess I don't really know. Um, I think I've only really played like the first two Borderlands games, and then I kind of just stopped playing them because I got bored of them after that. But maybe I'll go back and play them just to kind of get a better idea of maybe what some people are talking about and missing. And I know Borderlands 4 is out now or soon to be out. I don't know. I'm so out of the loop with video games because I've been on my movie grind that, yeah, I just haven't even like thought about a video game in probably a couple of years now, I think. The last one I played was like Black Ops 6, so yeah, it's been a couple of years. But we'll go over the cast list. I gave this a 7 out of 10 because I thought it was still like a good solid action movie, even though it might not have necessarily followed everything to a T with Borderlands, or maybe it was just like some of the casting choices people didn't like. But I mean, I thought they did like a pretty good job. Um, the cast did a pretty good job of being just kind of like comedic action stars. And I will say that Tina and Claptrap definitely kind of carried the film, and it seemed that the story was more kind of focused around her a little bit. Um, like obviously Lilith had her part to play in it, but it kind of seemed like the story was more focused like centrally around Tina itself. Um, so we'll go over the cast. This was directed by Eli Roth, and I do like his films. And I still think he did a fantastic job of making you feel like you're in that world with those characters. So I have to give him props for that, even if it wasn't necessarily like it was kind of off the beaten path for him too, because he does more like horror movies, and I feel like there was potential for some scenes of like some serious scares in there with especially with like the psychos and stuff. But yeah, it is unfortunate that they don't. I don't think they gave him enough like free reign to really do what he wanted to do with this film. And maybe like a decade or so down the road, there'll be another Borderlands movie, and maybe he'll put his foot in the door again and kind of like redeem himself, I guess, or maybe just have people not trying to shut down his project because that's kind of seemed like it kind of seems like what they were trying to do a little bit. And yeah, he had a film in mind, and then it feels like it just got shut down completely, which is unfortunate. So Kate Blanchett, who played Lilith, Kevin Hart, who played Roland, Edgar Ramirez, who played Atlas, Jamie Lee Curtis, who played Tanis, Ariana Greenblatt, who played Tiny Tina, Florian Montaneau, who played Krieg, Janina Kavinkar, who played Knox, Jack Black, who voiced Claptrap, Oliver Richters, who played Crom, and then Gina Gershon, who played Moxie. And there was a couple like random like cameos in the back, and one of them I noticed was Jessica Negri. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Who is like a famous cosplayer, and I was like, that looks like her at the bar when the scene with Moxie. So yeah, it's kind of cool to even see somebody like that just be like a stand-in. Um, yeah, if you know who Jessica Negri is, I guess you would know. Like, yeah, she's a pretty big cosplayer. I would probably say like one of the first, besides like Meg Turney, if you know who that is too, from like really really far back in the day. So anyway, yeah, let's go over some of the stuff that obviously happens in the movie, as we do. So yeah, we start out where it seems like the world is controlled by these creatures called the Iridians, or people or creatures called the Iridians. Um, and the Iridian's secrets, beyond what people know, were hidden in the vault. So of course everybody is after the Vault Hunter. I believe that was kind of like the main premise of the first game. Again, it's been so long since I played it. Like I feel like that was just basically the point of the first game was to find this vault and try to unlock it, and then eventually it just kind of escalates into a series of games. And I don't know if we ever actually do find the vault, to be completely honest. We do in the movie, but I don't know if we've ever actually found it in the game. And I feel like maybe number 4 is going to be the one where we find it if we haven't already. Forgive me, because again, I haven't played since the second one, so it's been a long time. I don't even know if I completed the second one or not. Like, it's been that long. So a prophecy of a daughter of Iridia opening the vault is said to be true, I guess. And of course, nobody seems to believe it until, of course, one of the soldiers that works for. Sorry, oh my god. One of the soldiers that works for Atlas. Yeah, Roland is one of the soldiers who works for Atlas. Actually takes Roland's daughter, Tina, or at least we think that's his daughter at that point in the film, takes his daughter Tina and like basically kidnaps her essentially. So in Promethea, which is 50 light years away, we meet Lilith, who is working as a bounty hunter, and then Lilith is approached by Atlas to obviously track down her daughter, or his daughter, mind you, his daughter who has been kidnapped. So now she has to go back to Pandora, which she didn't want to go to. I guess Lilith was born there and she had a pretty rough life on Pandora until she was kind of shipped off of Pandora, or as we later find out, abandoned actually after her mother had passed away. So kind of a crazy turn of events. So Lilith returns to Pandora after being returns to Pandora, and of course after being chased by Atlas's, like, I guess, army in a sense, and Nox was the leader. She ends up having to team up with Tina, Krieg, Roland, and Claptrap. And of course, Claptrap was activated as soon as she landed back on the planet. So he was obviously supposed to be by her side and protect her no matter what anyway. And I guess, so yeah, she has to kind of team up with them. And of course, obviously, none of them really get along. They're kind of always at odds. And yeah, then as the movie goes on, she kind of like, you can kind of tell she's like sort of like finding herself again on that planet. Like, I guess it's her home, right? So she's finding out a lot of stuff about her childhood, obviously, like as she goes along, and she seems kind of cold and distant with everybody because she hasn't been there for so long, but everybody remembers her, except for the guy who was driving the bus, who just kept playing the whole thing about vault hunters, and she goes, "I'm not a vault hunter, like I'm a bounty hunter." And of course, we get that after we meet Tanis, who apparently was supposed to take after or look after her after her mother had passed away, but ends up, I guess, kind of trading her away in a sense to search for the vault. Basically, it was kind of crazy that you would just abandon a child and leave them with people who I guess were basically contract killers, and then of course she ends up becoming a bounty hunter herself, right, when she grows up. So then we find out that Tina is actually not a human at all. She is a creation from, I guess, Iridian blood. So she had been cloned in order to unlock the vault, or at least that was Atlas's plan. Now, of course, we find out that that wasn't necessarily the way that, or that doesn't go the way Atlas had thought it was going to. And then, of course, when we go into like the sewers and so on and so forth, when we go into the sewers, we run into the, like, I guess you could call them almost like super psychos, the Bloodshots. And there's a huge battle scene there between the group and the Bloodshots, and Roland ends up having to sacrifice himself, or at least we think. But he does make it out alive. And see, I feel like if that had an R rating, I don't think he would have made it out of that. Like, Roland probably would have been uh, blown up in that scene, and the rest of the group would have had to kind of carry on their own. But I feel like because it was, sunk down to a PG level, unfortunately, it's kind of like George of the Jungle, where everybody gets really bad boo boos, but nobody ends up actually dying in the movie. It's kind of one of those, which is unfortunate. So then Tina actually finds out some of her powers, and one of them being teleportation when they're being launched up in the elevator after Roland sacrifices himself, essentially. Um, so Tina, when they get to the vault, because Tanis, of course, wants to use her as well to unlock the vault for her own, I guess, research purposes, and I'm not exactly sure, like, what um, what Atlas's plan was once he got into the vault. I guess he just wanted whatever was in there to become like all powerful, maybe. Um, but of course, I don't think anybody really knows what's in there, obviously. Um, so then, of course, uh, Tina finds out she's not the third part of the key to unlock the vault, and Lilith finds out that she is. So yeah, I guess Lilith was actually the daughter of Iridia, and it makes sense now as to why her mother was trying to protect her so much and keep her safe with Tanis. And then, of course, it almost kind of worked out in Tanis's favor that she ended up abandoning her and getting her off that planet, because if anybody had found out like earlier on, I think it would have been really bad for Lilith in the end anyway, right? So Lilith was able to use the powers of the Firehawk, which I guess is like a goddess of the planet. Was it a goddess of Pandora or a goddess of Iridia? That's the one part I can't quite remember. It was one of the two, I do believe. So yeah, she's able to use the powers of the Firehawk to protect everybody, and then eventually, Atlas does get the better of her, and she has to open the vault, and Lilith and Tina are actually able to trap Atlas in the vault at the end of the movie. So that was kind of a poor turn of events, obviously, for Atlas. But I mean, this film did have like its good moments, like the action sequences were good. Now some of the animation wasn't really that great, but I will say like the set designs and stuff, like the world building, it felt like you were actually like it felt to me like you were in the game again. Like to me, in a sense, not necessarily maybe all of it, but yeah, some of it made you feel like you were kind of like in the game and really connecting with, like, I feel like you could obviously connect with at least one of these characters in the movie each time you watch it. And maybe you can connect with more of them the more times you watch it. I don't really know, but yeah, it was a good movie in like the sense that it was just like a pure kind of like adrenaline rush action movie, but it had the potential to be better, and that's unfortunate because I feel like Eli Roth probably had his vision for what the film could have been, and you can kind of see it in certain scenes, especially like in the underground parts where they're in the sewers and with the blood shots and all of that. You can see there where there was potential for more, but it feels like it got cut short, which is unfortunate. But yeah, the humor was good, the action was still good. Some of the CGI not the greatest, but I feel like this film was maybe potential or partially rushed a little bit, um, to reach its release date, and maybe if it had have been pushed back a year and polished up a little bit, it would have been a whole lot better, I feel. But yeah, sometimes they're a hit and sometimes they're a miss. I mean, for somebody who was kind of going out of their, you know, I guess regular scope, you could say, as far as like I know him to be as a director, I would say that he did like a pretty like as good of a job as he could have with what he had, right? So yeah, I guess that's it for this review. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.